Appreciate you hitting the button. Welcome to the How to Hustle podcast with Hype. Slow down, Hype. This is episode 110. You follow me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Hype. That's HYMPE. It's Hype. It's not hype. I'm not geeked up. Special guest in the building. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Uh, this is Derrick Bell, Guerrilla Prince, Fitness and Athletics, Bronx, New York, Guerrilla Prince Consulting, in the Mist, non for profit.
Copy that. We are going to break down all of that situation for you on this episode because this is an episode. Not an artist spotlight because he's not an artist, but this is just a flat spotlight episode. Now, let's hit the rundown before we do that. H2H Cleaning, that is my cleaning company, is at H2H Cleaning on Instagram only. But if you make it worth my while, we will slide out to the Bronx and tighten up this whole situation. Roofing, plumbing, HVAC, flooring, carpeting, cleanups, cleanouts, and remodels. However you need it, we will make it happen over there at H2H Cleaning on Instagram only. Then we go to my clothing line. It is at Custom Hustle World on Instagram. It's Custom Hustle Co. on Twitter. Custom jerseys, jackets, football, baseball, hockey. However you need them, we can make them happen. We got the sneaks, we got the sweatsuits. We have the sneaks available in the lady size, the kid size. However you need them, we can customize them, and we can do them in any color that you prefer. Now, we also have the spring jackets. We're getting up on the summer and the springtime. Late nights, you have a little something on. We got those for you. Just get at us at Custom Hustle World on Instagram and Custom Hustle Co. on Twitter. Also, the barber capes. We now have the barber capes that have the entire How to Hustle enterprise. All of the logos are on them. Or you can get your own situation with the logo on it. It's going to cost you a little extra, but we will take care of you. Now, E-Block Radio Network every Monday, 2 o'clock on the E-Block Radio Network. GFT Radio Network every Tuesday at 2 o'clock on the GFT. Then we go 216 The Blend. That's 12 midnight, 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Thursday, I Say Podcast Radio Network at 10 a.m. and the THC Media on Saturday at 10 a.m. West Coast, what's happening? We need y'all. Now, episode 110. You ready? You got to be
Ready?
ready because this is all about you, baby.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Tell us all about the program. How do we help the children out with boarding school situations? Break it all down for all of us as though none of us know anything about it.
Right.
Floor is yours.
Yeah. Once again, Derrick Bell out of the Bronx, New York. And basically, I guess I could start from the beginning and how it is that I got into training in the first place. I won't get too long-winded, but was you know, came home from federal penitentiary, and long story short, one of my bunkies was training at a gym at the time, and he said, "Yo, I'm gonna, I made a call to this guy. I want you to, you need to train at this gym." I said, "Man, I'm not doing no training. I'm not into it." He said, "It's too late. I already gave him your name, so you need to go see him." Long story short, that was probably life changing for me because at the time, I was working at a lighting company, not not really doing much, and pretty much really frustrated. Because of course, the money's not coming in the way that I wanted it, and so started training. Really liked it. Realized that wow, this is something that I can do. And then fast forward a couple of years, um, got fired from Crunch because I was just too much at that time. I kind of grew a little bit bigger than what it is that they wanted. So, and that's what made me step out onto my own and start Guerrilla Prince Athletics. And started with, of course, my own kids. And still training some adult clients at the same time, but then kind of really like, forking off to where it is. I was working almost exclusively with kids and working on them to get ready for. At the time, my sons were heavy into combine preparation, so I started working, the 40s and 5'10", 5 shuttles, broad jumps. So I got really heavy into that to where it is I started a combine. So every year I would do a combine. And as I'm doing these combines, what I started doing because at the time my oldest son was already away at boarding school, I believe. Yeah, I think Damon was away. And so what I started doing is, because I'm realizing what kind of education he's getting, what kind of just overall what he's getting, what sort of experience he's getting away at school. And I wanted to see if I could provide that for other kids that came from inner cities that looked like us. So I started doing the combine and inviting those boarding schools in to come into the city to look, because what I also felt like was that the local schools, the high schools and the local Catholic schools that everyone so covets, I don't really I feel like they kind of took us for granted, like especially the Catholic schools, to where they felt like, well, they're going to come here anyway, so they didn't feel like it was necessary to court or sell their school to families because they were going to come there anyway. So I gave families a different option to look at, to where it is not only are these schools going to court you, they're really going to lay it out and let you know what this experience is all about.
So this is what I wanted to. This is what I wanted to ask now.
Yep.
What are some of the benefits of sending the kids to the boarding schools?
I mean, the thing about it, us as parents, right? I think the biggest thing is the independence, right? Them, I tell parents all the time, you want to know what type of parent you've been to your son or daughter, then you send them away to school, and that right there will give you a really good idea as to what kind of job you did. And I say that to say, because anytime that I sent one of my sons away to school, I always got great responses like, man, Shay's a great kid. Skylar Damon's a great kid, man. So what me and my wife at the time realized is that we gave them a pretty good foundation. No, they didn't come from money or any of that, but they still came, did what they did, came what it is that they were supposed to do, apply themselves academically.
It's not, it ain't even about the money. It's about the character. Like you
Right.
said, this is them speaking for you when you're not even there to speak for yourself. So if they go out and they hold the door open for an old lady, or uh watch their mouth because somebody older is walking past, those are the things that speaks volumes for you. Those are the things that are character traits that have nothing to do with money or the situation that you've been put in. That goes to the things that were instilled into you. That's
Absolutely.
like what you leading there.
Absolutely. And yeah, and so putting them in that situation, and of course, in our coming from our community, it's almost like a taboo to send your kid away to school, because we are so locked into keeping our kids home and close to us. But sometimes that can be to the detriment, because if you're keeping them close just to keep them close to you, but the opportunities there for them are not going to be able to give them what it is that they're looking for, then we're kind of doing them a disservice, right?
So that's one of those things where I always would throw at people, where everybody's not a big picture thinker. Everybody's not looking at the entire board. They're looking
Right,
at what makes my situation better for me.
right,
So if you recognize that I have a child that has a certain talent, skill, or ability, like me and you had this conversation a few days ago before we even got to the episode, where it's so many ways to dominate the game without getting 30 or without
yep,
getting 12 sacks, to the point where you being in that situation might lead to you becoming a trainer for the next 25, 30 years.
that's
Had you
right,
never gone to that school and never been roommates with this kid who had a connection, or ended up playing at a bigger school where you got to visit and you got to meet all of these different people.
yep,
So some people's circumstances are, yeah, you need to get out of here, because if you don't get out of here, it's going to end bad, or you're not going to ever
right,
accomplish, you're not ever going to take advantage of none of those natural abilities that you have.
that you
You're
have.
going to just become, just like you said, I'm in the feds now.
Yeah, I mean, and Jihad, the thing about it is that, and we have a very bad habit in our community of celebrating mediocrity. Um, and what I mean by that is that our community, like, we celebrate things that are not necessarily celebratory worthy. You know what I mean? So and so's having a baby, so we throw these elaborate baby showers, right? And then if you look at that same kid 20 years from now, right? You're like, man, I remember that. You remember the baby shower, but all of, the $9,000 baby shower never, it didn't turn into the young woman or the young man going on to Stanford. You know why? Because that was never the plan. And we have to figure out, why was that not the plan? How about we don't do the big baby shower, and we put that money up for them to be able to possibly go on to Stanford or wherever, right? Or in school, or whatever the case may be. But we got to do better.
This is one I'll throw at you for myself. I got engaged in March and married in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to everybody who asked, well, why you want to do it like that? Why you want to do it that fast? You're supposed to have all this time. And I'm like, because the thing that doesn't matter is who was sitting at table 5. What did the centerpieces look like? Who took the pictures? Where we get the flowers from? What did the cake look like? None of that matters. What matters is it's 7 years later and we're still together.
There you
What
go.
matters is that we build a life together, that we really love each other, and that we're not looking to get married for the pictures we take in a day.
Yep.
And that we're looking to build this situation together.
Yep.
Those situations that you're talking about is like, yeah, this is going to look crazy on Instagram for the next couple of days.
Right.
But then when this individual needs somebody to watch this baby so that they can go to work to provide for this baby, are you there to help?
Right. No one in that room is going to be up for that.
Copy.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. We have to, like I said, and this is why it's really my mission to win. When I'm talking, this morning, I had 12-year-olds at the gym this morning at 6 in the morning, and I'm telling them, you are what you repeatedly do. So if you show up here, it's just a minute late, coach. No, it's not. I said, because that snowballs into so many other different things. The fact that you weren't here early is a problem. And so these are things that, especially these kids now, that are so social media driven, they lack any code, right? They don't have any code in terms of how to do things the right way, because there is no code. There are no consequences. And so because they live like that, I have to coach them a certain way. And, most parents, some parents will be like, man, that's a little bit harsh. Nah, not really. Because as you know, and I know, Jihad, is that once they leave that the confines of youth football, high school football is all business, and college football is for certain all business. And if you're not teaching them how to be businessmen and women, then they're going to be in for a rude awakening, because they don't understand business etiquette, right? You shouldn't show up late for a business meeting. So
yeah, you don't show up for a job interview at 5 o'clock at 5:02.
There you go.
You show up at 4:02.
There you go, right? And if you truly want the job, right? And so these are things that that for me, yeah, I'm training them, but I'm also mentoring them, because I know that, especially if they look like me, there are so many obstacles already there put in their way for them to trip up on. And so
go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Yeah, so if I'm hard on them, that's fine. Because like I explained to them, the person at the next space, he's not even really going to be hard on you. He's just going to deal in business. And you're going to take it personally when that person is dealing business. But all of this time, I've been trying to show you proper business practice through training. through understanding the discipline of training and getting up. Yeah, coach, why we got to do 4 in the morning workouts? Because no one else is.
This is one of those things I always would throw at people from the business perspective is business is never personal, it's just always business.
It's just
And,
always business.
and what you stating is they're gonna get 2, 3 other kids, and if you don't meet the expectation, they just gonna move right on past you to the next kid.
Listen, I let them know that when they are recruiting you, should you have the opportunity to actually be recruited, right? Because the reality is that that only happens to 5% of the kids in this country. So should you have that opportunity where where someone's actually saying, yo, I want you to come to my university, should you have that opportunity, understand that he's already recruiting past you. And it's all business. So understand
not even recruiting past you. He's recruiting the kid in the next town that plays the exact same position as you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're gonna see who's the better one. And that's that.
What's the age group for the kids that you train?
Look, I've had kids.
Well, you said you got adults too, so we go.
Yeah, I mean, the adults that I have now are pretty much corporate adults, like, that work for, big Wall Street firms and stuff like that, lawyers and stuff like that. Those are, and it's funny, right? Because those people have actually grown with me, right? I have a client that I train now. I was training Shomo when he was fresh out of NYU. Now he has twin boys, and he's at this huge hedge fund doing it big time, right? So some of these people have grown with me as they, and as I've grown, they've grown as well. Me and Shomo, we're really tight. We had Knicks season tickets together. So it's just like things like that, to where it is, some of the clientele I have been around me for a very long time, but I've trained clients as young as 4 years old. Young lady, yeah. Dylan was probably one of, I would say, outside of my youngest son, I started training when he was 2. Dylan was probably someone that wasn't in my family, but very close to me. But Dylan is now starting as a true freshman at Princeton for lacrosse. And this is why I try to show people that this is, understand where it all came from. I told her parents, I identified very early, she has a skill set. And of course they thought I was, a little bonkers. I'm telling you, I see a skill set. She has decent speed. She had decent speed at 4 that most people, of course, are not picking up on.
This has to be the follow-up question. Now, what does the training regimen look like for the 4-year-old?
Jihad, all you're doing with them is making them learn athletic movement. That's it. So you're making them skip, you're making them hop. You know what I mean? It's basic movement, but all you're doing is training it.
You're just training up those muscles.
That's it. You're just training it. You're not making them do anything super crazy, right? You make them, you may challenge them with a couple of different things, but for the most part, all you're doing is putting them in a situation where, let me see if you can balance on one leg for 20 seconds. For a 4-year-old, of course, they're up for that challenge, right? Right? But they don't know that I'm training them, right? Because by the time they're 8, that balance is a whole lot better if we've been consistent over a period of time. And now that 8-year-old starts to look superior, and now you have people act like, well, why is she able to do that? Like, oh, that's, but not knowing that basically
it's the regimen is in there. Yeah.
Right. This was something, and like I said, you just bring them along with very small athletic movements. That's it. Nothing crazy, nothing, but you just get them to understand their bodies, right? And that if when they accelerate, and how can they deaccelerate really fast? Can they do it really fast? If I say, like the old school game, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. That's all that is acceleration and deacceleration.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's all. That's all. People don't even realize that that's a drill. But you know
Nah,
me.
I ain't gonna hold you until you just said that. I never even would have put that together.
Yep, of course not. But I do it with young kids like that. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't have any idea. But that's an acceleration drill and a deacceleration drill.
See, that was just like learning how to play Uno with my dad. You had no idea that you was just basically in math class.
Pretty much.
Same thing with
Same thing.
dominoes.
Yep.
That was another one.
Yep.
Now, what would you say would be one of your proudest moments from the program? The program doing what led you to a very proud moment.
Oh man. I have so many, Jihad.
Just
I
give me,
have
give me two of them, man. First two
um
that popped in your mind.
I mean, I think that my oldest son is is a captain in the army now, has his own daughter, and he is, to see him do what he's doing, and having gone on and established himself, and just to see him taking care of business, right? um and then I can't say two, because my middle son is a teacher, and coaches football and basketball at a boarding school. And these guys have definitely went above and beyond and taking care of business as men of color. And then I got it through with my youngest, him having two older brothers that kind of paved the way for him, gave him the ability to create a situation for himself where he's now playing wide receiver at the University of Wisconsin. So I mean, but I can't. I mean, of course, I'm gonna go to those because those are my sons. But I have
Because
so
those are the
many,
personal experiences. Yeah,
right? Those
copy.
are
I
the,
mean, ain't mad at that.
yeah. But I have so many kids that are doing some amazing things.
Now, tell me this. For
Yep.
those who are watching on the E Block Radio Network, you
Yep.
see the photo of the greatest of all time over your right shoulder right there.
Right.
How has that Mamba mentality that you have on the wall right there,
Yep.
how has that influenced, or what is that done with the program? Because I'm
Oh
quite
man.
sure we talking all about training and your habits and your all of
And
that. That has to do with a lot
it's
of that Kobe.
because it has to be a mentality, right? It goes back to Kobe and what it is, um and how disciplined he was, right? We are what we repeatedly do, right? And that's a fact. There's change is inevitable, growth is optional. So if you don't want it, um I think that it shows up pretty quick, right? Mamba mentality means that you are driven. It's almost as if you are hypnotized, right? To the point where you are so driven that this is unconsciously you have a certain level of discipline that is untouchable.
The average person can't understand.
The average person can't understand it, and then of course Jihad. That's when we start calling people names, right? Crazy. Oh man, he's intense. You know, all of these things that
All the things
associate
that
that
because you can't
associate
understand. Yeah.
right that associate someone with having a level of discipline that they can't fathom, right?
See, the thing about that is we talked about that on last week's episode. just because everybody's not going to understand the vision that you have.
That's true.
Everybody can't see through the eyes that you see the world from.
Yep.
And everybody's not as passionate about whatever their situation is. You can say, I'm going to be the best baker in the world and I'm going to spend all my time trying to perfect the cupcake and
Right.
go at it with the exact same intensity, focus, and drive as somebody being trained to be in the combine and trying to get on the team. Like all of
Right.
those things are just a mentality. They're just a focus, they're a thought process. And a lot of people, if they can't understand it, they try to belittle it because they can't understand it. And that's a you
Yep.
problem, not a me problem.
Right. No,
Now,
absolutely.
lastly, because this is just part one. This will be a series, y'all. This is
Yep.
just part one where we're kind of introducing the program to people. We will lead you into maybe three or four parts of this series, but we will lead you through the series here.
Right.
Uh, as a person who's a parent or a student, athlete, or an adult, or somebody listening to this who wants to get their child involved, what should their expectation of the program be?
The expectation of the program should be that um it is it is going to it's going to motivate them. It's going to groom them. It's going to give you, the parent, an understanding of whether or not how committed your student athlete, your son or daughter, is to the process. Because I'm going, having to get up at 3 in the morning for a 4 a.m. workout at, 5 times a week, that might not be for you. You know, um, making you run some of the toughest hills up in Yonkers for speed at 5 in the morning, that might not be for you. You know, um, pool workouts at 5 in the morning, and you got to do a full sprint for 2 miles in the pool. All of that stuff, there's a reason why I don't have 50 kids doing, my summer program, because there's not 50 kids that want it that bad. And then it comes down to statistics, right, Jihad? Like how many kids actually go on and make it to that coveted space that everybody wants, right? That D1 space, right? How many kids actually go on and make it to that space? Not only just make, because there's a bunch of kids that can make it there, but once they get there and realize that, everybody's fast, everybody can catch, what are you doing to separate yourself?
What you do, took the words out of my mouth because like we just was talking about in the recruiting situation. There's a kid in Georgia who's
Mhm.
right down the road who's gonna run just as fast as you. He's 6'2", 230, just like you is. Now
Yep,
it's all about that extra drive, desire, that want to that's gonna separate you from them. Who's showing up at 4?
yep,
Whose workout is scheduled for 4, but they showed up at 3?
yep,
Who's who's putting in the extra time? Who was supposed to be done at 3, but they still here at 4?
yep,
All of that is the stuff that will separate who really wanted from who just saying they wanted. What
right,
I said that was the last thing, but I got one more for you.
absolutely.
How is it that a parent could hinder the child from the situation? Because if you have a
Oh
child who
man.
says, if you have a child, I know this was a loaded one. If you have a child who says, my my workout is scheduled for 4, but I want to show up at 3, but the parent is not really like
Oh
going with
man.
it, or the
Look,
parent is prohibiting that.
I got I got that a group of parents that I've been dealing with for the last couple of years, Jihad, that have been absolutely committed. But then I can tell you this, Jihad, that the commitment to my summer program in particular has scared off a lot of parents. And then I also will say this: not only has it scared them off, but when I tell them what the price tag is for the summer program, I can see that they're like, "Oh no, I'm not. I don't want to spend that." So, and what that also shows me is that, oh no, I'm not spending that on you. Like, but once again, you have to understand that if you don't make the investment, they don't get to the space, right? Because I think me and you had this discussion before, off air. Michael Vick, AI, those guys, LeBron, those guys are anomalies, right? If they had trainers, they were going to be great anyway. It's the young lady, the young man that you have to bring along that needs to come to me, right? The one that you have to cultivate a little bit, right? And if you're not willing to make that investment, whether it's the time investment or the financial investment, I have seen, Jihad, where parents have absolutely dampered their kids' expectations, like just based on how they move. Like, oh no, well, don't worry about that. Just you just we just look at HBCUs, right? Not knowing that HBCUs now they have some standards as well too. Like you're not just getting into those schools, but I have seen just as a way to not fully commit to something that's going to be uncomfortable for them from a time standpoint and from a financial standpoint, they will damper the student athletes' whole motivation. And I've seen that a lot lately, right? But I think I told you this. If 4 years at the University of Michigan is worth $530,000, how much do you think that you have to invest for your kid to be able to get a scholarship at the University of Michigan? What's the dollar amount? And I'm saying over a period of time, up until it's time for them to get recruited, boom. What do you think that dollar amount is for them for you to be able to get that?
I don't know. I couldn't even put a number on that one, but I get what you're saying.
Right. But I can tell you the sweet spot is usually anywhere from 35 to 45,000. Somewhere in there. And I'm talking about camps, training, specialty work, massages, whatever, recovery.
Yeah, the whole gambit, all of that, the all-encompassing thing, nutrition and all of those things. All of that. No, I said I get what you're saying, but like I said, I know, like I said, I don't want to go through everything today because we're gonna build on this situation and we're gonna turn this into, like I said, this will be a series that we're gonna build on and we're gonna talk about the entire program, how the program leads you into college, how it prepared those kids who have already gone through the program, what his life turned into because they got into the program, and get the perspective from all of those different people so that we can turn this into, like I said, a series that we can build here for the How to Hustle podcast with Hype.
Absolutely.
Lastly, let them know where can they tap in with you, where can they find out even more information about the program that we haven't given them today.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Guerrilla Prince Experience, on Twitter at Prince Guerrilla. We're on Facebook also at Guerrilla Prince Athletics. And if you go to our website, it's www.guerrillaprinceathletics.com. And if you are interested in the consulting, it is gpconsulting.nyc. And that's where you can find us and check us out and see the different things that we're doing. Like I said, we're about to kick off our summer program in the next couple of weeks. We start doing our evaluations for the summer program, and and it's going to be 12 weeks of intense training, and we, like I said, we get it going, man.
12 weeks of hell is what he didn't want to say.
Hey, Jahan, I don't want to scare him away.
Some people gonna hear that and go, "That's exactly what I need." And some people gonna go, "Oh, no, I can't do nothing with that." Now, before we close out episode 110, this is where we switch the show up to Hype on the Hot Seat. I need 2 questions from you to throw at me.
Okay. what what with everything that you're doing, because I know you're pretty entrenched in multiple businesses. How is it that you manage to juggle everything and still be able to be a parent at the level that you want to be?
So this is gonna be the question everybody always asks me. Is how you manage all of these things.
Yeah,
So the short answer for this one is if I put my name on something, then it has to be going at with that and drive intensity and with that focus. It's one
right,
thing I don't play with is my name.
right,
Uh, and you get your name from your father. I will never disrespect my father as to disrespect his name, dead or
right,
alive. So as far as the family goes, my wife got my name. I gave my name to her, so that is
right,
something that has my name on it. Her, my children are not to be played with. These are not things that are for the public, as I tell people. I don't
right,
post pictures of them on the page because those are not a public situations.
right,
And
right,
they are priority number one.
right,
Now, building on all of the different businesses is just like you turn those into family situations. My daughter has a jacket that when she goes to school, her friends can say, "Hey, what's that?"
right,
When I got this one specific client that I go do the cleaning job, she goes with me for this job
right,
so that she can, one, that's a way for us to spend time together while we're still doing the business situation.
right,
I also got one that I got done cleaning with my wife. Excuse me, we
yeah,
do deliveries for things. If I got to go meet somebody, we're probably going to go together. So
right,
that, one, this is why daddy's on the phone. This is why we was on vacation and I'm on the beach scheduling a cleaning job.
right,
Like,
right,
I'm not even home. I'm not going to do this one, but
right,
I'm scheduling it. And when we go to dinner tonight, we're going to easily be able to handle that because daddy just handled that.
right,
So
right.
it's like I try to tie it in to make it a us situation and not a my situation.
No,
So that you can
absolutely. No, that's
see
great.
So you can see both sides of me going across a whole floor on my stomach to clean it, and me taking a couple of orders for a couple of jerseys, jackets, or what have you.
Right. No, that's dope. That's good stuff. My second question, man, I'm gonna switch it up, man. Um, you only you're gonna get, being that you're in Philly, um, top five Philly MCs.
Top five Philly MCs. Okay.
MCs.
Num-
Now we not, remember, MC is not a rapper.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna give you. My list won't be like anybody else's.
Okay, okay,
So number one is bias. Is my brother. Um,
okay,
CDF is always gonna be number one on my list.
okay,
Beans is number two on my list.
okay.
Uh,
That's my family.
yeah, Mac number two.
Okay,
Now, uh, I'm trying to think. Should I give him an order or Spade? Major Figure Spade.
okay,
I always love Spade.
okay,
Um, Cree. Cree is my man. I always
okay,
loved Cree.
okay.
And Oskino. Oskino was in and out of jail when they had the whole state property run. But
Right,
if
right,
you've ever been into any of them Oskino mixtapes, then you know why I got Oskino on that list.
right,
So that's why I said I ain't gonna give you the political answers. I'm gonna give you
right. No,
people whose songs I got right here in my phone.
right, right. And no Black Thought.
I couldn't put him over none of them
Wow, wow. Okay, okay.
because everybody always give you Black Thought when they go lyricists from the city. I mean, copy. Everybody listens, they list. When something, the thing about music is it's so subjective because it's the story that they're telling hits everybody different.
Differently, no doubt,
So, it's-
no doubt.
and you can't really never tell nobody they list is wrong because it's all about their experiences in their life.
Right, right,
The way that they got where they at. But
right. No,
everybody always put Black Thought on those lists. But like I said, I know my list ain't like nobody else's list.
yeah, no. I mean, look, I'm into, I'm for sure. I'm, I'm into lyrics. So,
Yeah, the words matter. That's what I
words
always tell
matter.
people. The
So,
words matter.
and and every time I see Black Thought do something like where, like he rips it down. You know what I mean? He rips it down. And so like I said, to me, he always has to be in the conversation in terms of I believe that there's not many that want to stand in a cipher with him.
And yet, see, that's how I always will judge people is if we put a beat on, can you last? A lot of these dudes ain't lasting. A lot of these new dudes ain't lasting.
And that's what I mean. And Thought he's gonna go. I believe Beans, he can go.
Yeah, Beans is gonna go with anybody.
Right. So so those two in particular, so I was just curious as to, where you were at, on your top 5. That's cool though.
So, all right. I appreciate you coming on. That
Absolutely.
was episode 110 of the How to Hustle podcast with Hank. We are out. We're not out yet. Now we're out.